a message to VDM. VDM, make sure you watch this video very carefully and very slowly. All right. I made notes myself on a piece of paper here so I can get everything in this 9-10 minute video. I watched your video this afternoon. The time in Nigeria now should be 1:40 p.m. in the afternoon, Sunday. I was the first to post about Mobad's death. However, I did not mention Mobad. On that day, I posted that there's been a death in the industry, and I'm really sad right now in that I want to stop posting for the day. It was very early in the morning, and I'll let you guys know later. That's what I posted, and I have a screenshot of it. Now, as soon as I posted that and the whole comment section got filled up, people in Mobad's camp, especially Wumi and Yabojo, they had seen the post. Within the hour, they sent an advert to Instablog Niger to put an advert out. That Mobad, okay, had died of an ear infection. That advert was paid by Yabojo. Now, I saw you on one video asking who paid for the advert. Because of privacy, you cannot technically ask Instablog to reveal the names of their advertisers and where the money came from. That's what privacy in marketing is. I have a degree in public relations, and marketing is a big part of PR. But for me, as an investigative journalist, I did a forensic investigation, and I found out Iyabo paid for the advert. She was with Wumi, but they tried to hide her whereabouts at that window, the 72-hour window when Mobad died. Iyabo was also posting on Wumi's handle. That Cynthia CY something, it was Iyabo that was posting. That post you talked about in your video, like, they took him from me, all those things were actually posted by Iyabo. Iyabo was the admin for Wumi's handle. I mentioned this in my video in September and October during IJ Mobad. IJ Mobad is so saturated now because I had 65 videos on there and 22 live videos and 205 posts. I did a lot of work. My work was forensic. So I couldn't tell a lot of people details. You had to follow that work. There are people who followed it. And those people, please put a comment on what you remember. Now, I accused Iyabo of being the admin for Wumi because she made a mistake. She made a mistake, and Paulo was watching that mistake, and Paulo told her, okay, to take that post down. As you see, Paulo said Iyabo should drop the whole thing with VDM. Paulo knew what was going on in the background. Iyabo wrote, Kemi Olunloyo used to bully Mobad when he was alive, not knowing. Now, Wumi will know that, but Iyabo being the admin did not even know. So Paulo told Iyabo, no. Kemi Olunloyo really didn't talk to Mobad or know Mobad during his life. I only met Mobad one time at Tiwasagi's father's funeral where he declined to take a photograph with me, all right? And it was after his death I found out that he was the one going around the industry counseling my son from working with some of the famous producers. So Mobad disliked me because of the Davido fight, that whole thing with Davido. You know, all your pussy, cheap drug user, we're a woman, all that 2018 fight with me and Davido. And I've been trolling Davido since, putting out all kinds of news about him, all his secrets, everything. There's no news I've put about Davido that's wrong. And I told you he was having babies, 2 babies. I told you his baby mamas. I told you everything Davido is my factual entertainment news. So Mobad didn't like me for that. But even so, when he died, my own son contacted me and said I should not do any investigation on Mobad. He has a right to because he was disgruntled about the way Mobad blocked his way. And hearing this after his death, you know, your own son will say, why are you doing investigation? Just leave that shit alone. But I didn't, because I noticed people in the industry were about to get away with murder. Now, I posted about the properties. I talked about a house, and a woman came and said, Mobad doesn't own any house. He rents it from me, blah, blah, blah. They had all kinds of things put together to make it look like Mobad, you know, didn't do this or didn't do that. Mobad actually owned that house. And that was the work of Wumi. And he actually purchased the house. He was on his way to purchasing the car. And we saw him at the dealership, and we saw Ade West looking at Mobad's phone while Mobad was trying to probably make payment for the car and everything. This is the reason why I was against you with spending interview, because I did a forensic, investigation, and possibly the police too are doing their own, and we haven't heard anything from them in 2 years. So I didn't want that forensic information to come out. By you interviewing Spending mentioned the fact that Ade West also followed him to the pharmacy. I wanted to nail Ade West in the part of he's always there. Ade West was there when Mobad was trying to buy a car. He was there at the pharmacy when they're going to treat him. 3 a.m. pharmacy. Nobody's open at 3 a.m. Okay, let's move on. Ade West was also there. VDM, okay, was also there when Yabo was signing that condolence register, remember? So the critical part that Ade West played is what I was trying to protect in that Spending interview. And I said, you shouldn't be interviewing witnesses. All this stuff should come out in the criminal court. That's why I did that. Then there was the land that they were fighting over at the graveyard. They had already planned, okay, to start distributing his stuff like right away. They rushed and buried him because they didn't want us to know the cocktail of drugs that they rigged him with, what the nurse administered. The nurse was not with them. Even though they let her go, they were glad he died. That was the whole point of Mobad's death. They were actually glad he died. And that's why they let the nurse go and quickly rushed to bury him. Because when we had that death certificate and that police report, 2 things you need to go to a mortuary. You need 1 or 2. Okay, but she refused to give it to Joseph Aloba. So Aloba got stuck with a dead body and he had to bury the dead body. The man I spoke to said I could not allow them to bury the body at night, bring the body in the morning. Estate's chairman or something. But at the end of the day, they brought the body in the morning and they hurriedly buried Mobad. And Wumi thought that would be the end. Resuming the investigation means exhuming Mobad's body on the 23rd of September 2023. Iyabo Ojo made it because Iyabo feels that because she has 6 million plus followers, she can actually control the narrative. No, she couldn't. She made it look to her fans like she was the one that told them to exhume Mobad's body. She wasn't. It was Dr. Olufumilayo, the very prominent UK doctor on Twitter. Olufunmilayo was the one that tweeted Lagos State government on exhumation for an autopsy, and they answered him. When Iyabo heard about it, she she retweeted, not even retweeted, she actually made that whole idea hers. Oh, I asked them to exhume. So she had this list of ChatGPT written stuff. Now, the donation part is where I came in. Nothing was with me and Iyabo since Port Harcourt prison. The last time I spoke to her was 2019. She apologized for her PA sending me that whole news tip thing. And then I met Iyabo in 2021 at Tiwa Savvy's father's funeral, and I also met her at Tony Abraham's, no, not Tiwa's father's funeral, Tony Abraham's movie premiere. That's where I met Iyabo. We took photos, hello, hi, that's about it. I don't have anything to do with Iyabo Ojo because she's going to be in my book, and I hadn't really finished the book because of so much trauma I was dealing with. Now that it's 3-4 years later now, you can now see the kind of trauma I went through when I told my story about my family and my father in 75 videos in April. 1 month, 75 videos. So now you know what I've been going through. That hasn't made me do a lot of things like writing my book. However, it was a good thing because it will be Mobad's case that I will find out that Iyabo Ojo actually got paid up to 10 million naira to keep me in prison. Remember that time they were saying, what's still keeping Kemi in prison? Why are they holding her? Kennedy Okoko was paying Iyabo money not to come to court. Every time I went to court, waited 6 weeks, Iyabo didn't show up. They sent me back to my cell. And this is why I fought Iyabo during the Mobad case. And how did it start? After posting VDM's noodles, she posted my PTSD videos. I have all the screenshots. She posted it and started mocking a mental health condition. And her fans picked up and started calling me PTSD Sono. Her fans are actually idiots. You know, they're not knowledgeable people. They're brainheads. They're empty brains. So they started calling me that. Iyabo wanted to distract us from the case. Stay tuned for part 3, VDM.